What if you could access safer public transportation systems while saving money on rides? Would that change the way you travel? The differences in income taxes affect how much you get to keep off your paycheck, with these countries offering lower rates while others provide more public services in exchange. In this comparison between Canada and the USA, we'll also explore how these countries have more generous family benefits, offering paid parental leave to give new parents a little financial relief during those early months. Keep watching because we're breaking down the hidden costs of living that could impact your budget in ways you never expected. Are Canadians more polite than Americans? People often say Canadians are more polite than Americans, but is it true? There's no solid proof that Canadians are nicer. It just seems that way because Canadians are generally a bit more reserved, while Americans tend to be more outspoken. Interestingly, Canadians do outshine Americans in politeness on Twitter. A Canadian university study found that tweets from Americans were often full of emojis, swear words, and negative language, while Canadians used more positive, polite words with fewer emojis. Beyond manners, Canada and the US also have significant differences in government systems. Canada has a prime minister and is a Commonwealth country, with the king as its symbolic head of state, while America has a president. Politically, the US has two major parties, the Democrats and Republicans, but Canada has five: Liberal, Conservative, NDP, Bloc Québécois, and the Green Party. Although the Crown holds symbolic power in Canada, the government makes all the accurate decisions, comparing economics, income, and taxes. According to the data of 2023, the Canadian economy reached $2.14 trillion, while the American economy was $27.36 trillion, which in absolute terms shows how much bigger the market it has. However, it is worth noting that the disparity in household income is not so wide. The average U.S. household earned a real median income of $80,610 in 2023. In Canada, the median household income in 2022 was $70,500 Canadian dollars, around $50,656 US dollars. Taxes also highlight some key differences. Both countries use progressive tax systems, but the rates vary. In the U.S., federal income taxes range from 10% to 37%, with singles earning between $47,150 and $100,525, paying 22% on income above the 12% bracket. In Canada, federal tax rates go from 15% to 33%, with those making up to $55,867 Canadian dollars, around $40,163 US dollars, paying 15% on the full amount. Canadian tax brackets apply similarly to single individuals and married couples, unlike in the US, where tax situations can differ. Family benefits for parents. Spending time with kids is super important, but it can also be expensive for parents. Different countries have their ways of helping new moms and dads. In Canada, parents are entitled to government-supported leave through the Provincial Employment Insurance Program. As per the latest update, the parents also stand to gain with the increase in such weekly payments to roughly 638 Canadian dollars, approximately $458 US dollars. However, the United States is not very liberal regarding granting social funds for such causes. The Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, allows for 12 weeks of unpaid leave, and some states have additional laws to help, but it's not as comprehensive as Canada's system. College costs in the US and Canada college can be a considerable expense, often leaving students with debt. The US has some of the highest university costs, with Canada ranking 6th. For the 2023 to 2024 school year, the average tuition in the U.S. was about $11,260 per year at in-state public colleges and $41,540 at private colleges. In Canada, the average tuition at public colleges is around 6,500 Canadian dollars, about 4,670 United States dollars, while private college costs range from 10,000 to 36,000 Canadian dollars, about 7,185 to 21,700 United States dollars, 25,863 US dollars. Both countries are massive, stretching across different climates and cultures, but the US tends to be more crowded and warmer since it's closer to the equator. Food costs in Canada, and the US food in Canada is usually a bit pricier than in the US, and prices have increased in recent years due to bad weather and labor shortages. In Canada, a pound of chicken breast costs around $4.47 to $5.47. In the US, it's about $4. Potatoes in Canada are about $1 per pound compared to $2 in the US. Rice in Canada ranges from $1.26 to $1.54 per pound. In the US, it's about $1 on average. Eating out is also a bit more expensive in Canada. For example, dinner for two in Vancouver can cost $80 to $98. In the US, it's roughly $75. Transportation in Canada versus the US. While the US relies heavily on cars and private transportation, Canada focuses more on public transit. That doesn't mean American cities don't have public transit options, but Canada is well known for having one of the world's safest and most reliable transportation systems. More Canadians depend on buses, trains, and similar services than Americans. So if easy access to public transit is essential to you, Canada might be a better fit. Both countries also have rideshare options like Uber and Lyft, which make getting around easier and allow drivers to earn extra income. You'll find these apps in most cities across the US and Canada. Job opportunities in Canada versus the US. The US has a more significant job market than Canada, offering more career opportunities. 84% of Canadian Waterloo software engineering graduates move to the US after their studies. The type of job you want also matters, as does the cost of living in each country. Remote and freelance jobs have grown a lot, giving people better work-life balance and often higher pay. Digital nomads in both countries benefit from the freedom to set their rates, which can sometimes exceed average salaries. For more traditional jobs, though, the US tends to pay more, especially in big tech, where American companies often offer higher wages than Canada. Canada's smaller population means fewer big companies and fewer jobs, so finding work there might take longer and come with lower pay, especially considering Canada's higher taxes, crime rates, and safety in Canada versus the US. The US has a higher crime rate than Canada, which is essential when considering the cost of living. Experts have different opinions on this, but some believe it's because the US has a 17% poverty rate, while Canada's is lower at 12%. Many think poverty drives people to commit crimes out of desperation. Another significant factor is access to firearms. While Canada has strict gun laws, the US doesn't, and it's much easier to get a gun there. This has led to tragic mass shootings in places like malls and schools, which increases the demand for healthcare, repairs, and other services, adding to the cost of living in the US compared to Canada. So, which hidden costs and benefits would impact your lifestyle the most? Are you leaning more toward one country or the other? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to share this video with friends who might be deciding between these two countries. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss an update from our channel.